Exchange. I think it's a great tool. Like Mike said, I am the community manager. My email address is right here, so there's going to be time for questions and answers, but if you have any questions after the presentation is over, or if you just want to chat more about it, please feel free to send me an email. I love talking about the info exchange, so I would be glad to hear from any of you. So I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to turn off my webcam. All right. So the OAIE Information Exchange, we're going to talk about what it is, why we need it, the power and importance of community. So as a more general overview, I don't want to just talk with you about the information exchange as kind of a standalone thing. I want to talk about the idea of community as a whole within science and ocean acidification. We're going to talk a little bit about communities of practice specifically, what the current composition of the OAIE is right now in terms of members and material that's on there. We are going to take a little tour of the site so I can show you around, show you some of the neat tools and functions. There's going to be time for questions about the site, and then we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about the role of community in our work. So, as you may have gathered, the OAIE Information Exchange is an online members-only forum. Sorry, something just popped up on my screen. All right, thank you for your patience. All right, the site was launched in early 2018, and our mission, which is in big letters on the front page, is catalyzing response to ocean and coastal acidification through the power of collaboration. So bringing people together who have a shared interest like ocean acidification and pursuing some kind of shared outcome makes this not just a website or a project or a forum, but it's also a community. So the impetus originally for the OAIE Information Exchange came about, it was back in 2009 as part of the FORAM Act, and it basically mandated the creation of an information exchange accessible by electronic means. So it becomes obvious where the name for the OAIE Information Exchange came. And the idea is to, share information, but also facilitate and increase collaboration between a whole bunch of different kinds of groups of stakeholders. So scientists, educators, policymakers, resource managers, the list goes on, and concerned citizens as well. So, if you are working with or interested in, then the OAIE Information Exchange is a place that you belong. So again, this is a collaborative community because we all have this shared interest and we're working towards something. So there's three big giant buckets that the OAIE is designed to work towards. So the first is sharing information. That's pretty clear. The next part of it is making sure that that information is organized, it's searchable, you can find what you need and want quickly. And then the last part is facilitating these person-to-person connections so that, it's not just a one-way transfer of information, it's creating substantial connections. So the OAIE, it's an amazing tool. I think it could benefit just about everyone who's participating in OAIE. I'll go so far to say that it can benefit everyone participating in OAIE Week. And in so many different ways, one of which is to continue the conversations that we start here. So yes, like I said, part of this presentation is a tour of the site and its features, but I don't just want this to be a demonstration. That's something that, I have had the opportunity to do before, and it's great, but I think this is an opportunity for some deeper discussion. I want to talk about why we created this tool and how we got here, and the why of community and collaboration as scientists, as practitioners, as experts, as interested people, because I think more than ever, this notion of coming together to support one another for communal good is really important and relevant right now, because do I have to say COVID? Do I have to say isolation, geographic boundaries? I'm a huge introvert, and even I got lonely during the past 18 months. So I think it's really emphasized this idea that connection is important and it's something that we need. So hopefully, as I do walk you through the site, I'm not just going to be showing you how things work or where to find stuff. I'm going to try and explain the function and how they work to connect us, and then give you some ideas for how you could use them. And we're going to talk about how you relate to community and what you want from it. So we're going to start at the very, very beginning. What is a community? Basically, it's a group of people who like some similar stuff, and they are linked by a setting in one way or another through geography, some kind of gathering place, including an online forum. And then a more formal definition is, you can see a group of people, diverse characteristics, social ties, share common perspectives. But why did communities form in the first place? Why do we keep coming back to this idea of community as something that's important? Back in the day, you may or may not know this, it's because it helped us survive in the wilds. It allowed us to specialize, by which we weren't all having to do the same thing, which was find food and find shelter, and just doing that was enough to occupy all our time. When we could spread it around within a community, it allowed some people to specialize and pursue things that they were good at individually, and then they could bring it back to the group to benefit us as a whole. But the main thing, like the thesis statement of communities, is because we form communities because we can do things as a community that we can't do as individuals. So that's kind of the bottom line and the most important thing to remember as we talk about communities and as we work in them. So we're also going to talk about specifically a community of practice. So the OAIE is a community of practice because it has this added link that goes beyond social ties and common perspectives. So we are also coming together so that we can learn how to do something better as we interact regularly. So we're trying to catalyze response. We're trying to make a positive change within this community that we formed. And it's probably pretty clear at this point that I think that framing the OA Information Exchange as a community, not just a forum or a website, is important because it helps explain the site design, the functions of the site, and it also really helps set the tone of the space and how we as members interact within the space and with each other. And so, you know, I brought up all the huge list of stakeholders that we're trying to work with, and the dream is to cross-pollinate, you know, work transdisciplinarily across all these different groups. And so it's definitely about applied science and research, but it's also about all these other fields and, you know, scientists engaging with social scientists or economists or educators and communicators learning from scientists. So we're working together to share information, but then we're hopefully going to take that next step to have conversations that are really inspiring and that can have real life, you know, offline impacts. I think that, you know, we've talked about this idea of cross-discipline work, and the reason it keeps coming up, I believe, is because when you add in these other disciplines to what you do, it provides depth and context to what we create. And so this first step, this, you know, initial arrow, going from conveying to co-creating, it takes a lot. It's a transformative process, and it doesn't happen all at once. And so even though my job is community manager, I can't manage it into being. I wish I could. It's ultimately community members, all of us together, who decide if a community is a place that we want to work on co-creation. So the idea is that I can help set the scene, the website, the setting for the community. It's designed to be an open door and to keep the door to community as wide open as possible. And we have these tools and functions that'll hopefully, you know, make it easier to move from conveying one-way information to co-creating. So must sound like we have everything that we need to make the OAIE a success. It's all in place in theory, but we're missing one big thing that we need to take into consideration. And this is the last thing I'll say about psychology before we actually move on to the site itself. Site and tools are used by people, and humans have emotions, which is fine, which is great. It's something that we need. We're emotional creatures. When we interact with other people, even if it's through a computer screen, thousands of miles apart, it can be intimidating. And sometimes it can feel lonely in a crowd. I know that I can sometimes definitely feel lonelier in a crowd than I do when I'm just sitting by myself. So when you first enter any kind of community, whether it's, you know, in gym class in 7th grade or an online forum, you might wonder for a second if you really belong there. You might worry that asking a question will make you look like less of an expert in your field. Or you might not choose to interact because you don't think anything's going to come from it. It's just not worth it. So it's really important that these kinds of barriers, I would call them emotional barriers, to being part of communities are addressed. And one way that we did this was by writing participation guidelines. And this document outlines the culture that we're trying to cultivate within the community. Part of these are our shared values. And we spent a lot of time thinking about what these shared values were. And, you know, it is a document, and we ask all new members to, you know, go through and read this document so that they understand the values on which the community is founded. The hope is that when we feel safe and free to ask for share, then this process of co-creation happens more quickly. I always kind of put this caveat in here that I know it sounds kind of huggy-feely, you know, we're professionals, we're scientists, but it's really important to remember that we're all thinking, feeling people. I think that this conversation has a place in our world. So let's move on to the actual site itself. Currently, there are more than 1,300 members. It's really exciting. I think it's amazing how much the site has grown. There's kind of a rough breakdown of the composition you can see on the right. It's changed a little bit since I initially put this together, but still within a few percentage points. Majority scientists, researchers, but we have definitely great representation among other groups, all of whom have come together to, you know, work together and discuss and share. What's really amazing is that when the site started, we were just, you know, trying to think about how to get it going. We weren't thinking about the kind of outreach that we're doing, and really, luckily, people from outside the United States began finding the site right away. So at this point, you know, 2 and whatever years in, we have about 1,000 people based in the US, and then 20% of the rest of the members are based in 63 other countries, which is, it's this fantastic international community. And I'm really glad that we're able to break down at least the geographic part of this barrier. And what do we have to show after these years? We have 857 updates, and if update doesn't make sense right now, that's fine. I will talk about that more later. We have almost 2,500 comments on those updates, which averages out to about 3 comments an update. That's pretty incredible. The reason I put this stat up there is because, you know, if you choose to share something or post something, you're going to get a response. You're not going to be left hanging. We also have 319 documents or pieces of media on the site. We also have links to shared document databases on Zotero and Mendeley. And then people also have shared 122 events. And again, I will go through more of this as we do the site tour, which I am going to transition over to right now. If I can do it. Let's see. Okay. Hopefully you all can see my web page right now.
Yep, it looks great.
Okay, give me one more second. Come back. Sorry, I'm just moving browser windows around so I can see everything. Okay, here we go. So on the site, I'm going to give us a rundown, how to request an account, get on it, show you around the members only side of the site, main areas. I'm going to show you how to add some content, the kinds of content you can add, show you how searching the site works, and then we're going to have some time for questions. So it's really easy to get access to the site. You just go to this request access thing, fill out your name, a little bit of information, and then I have to personally approve all the member requests that come through. You know, it's a pretty self-selecting site. It's not like we get crazy trolls who want to join and just cause trouble. But I feel like this keeps us in an area where, you know, everyone feels safe and like they can talk about and share what they need to. So I'm going to log on. And once you enter in that request information, a bare bones profile will be created for you, and it'll just contain your name, email address, organization, and I think that the more information you are willing to include in your profile, the better it is for you and the exchange as a whole. So when you first log in, this is the home screen. This is your gateway to all information OA Info Exchange. I call this kind of the auditorium. This is the main area. This is all of the news that's fit to print. And as a new member, you'll see this little sticky note up here. Like I said, it has links to the participation guidelines. You can X out of this at any time, but I definitely encourage you to go through this different material that's up here. So like I said in the beginning, the idea is to make it easy to share information, keep it organized and searchable. So there are 5 main areas of the site. There are updates, there are people, teams, documents, and events. I'm not going to go through links because it's kind of silly and no one uses it. The idea is that an update oh, it's going to be embarrassing if it doesn't load. There we go. Updates are the primary way that information is conveyed. You can start a conversation. You can just share something simply, but it's a multi-layered tool for interacting with other people. You can share as much or as little as you want. It's similar in idea to a social media post. Sometimes when I'm trying to describe the OA Information Exchange quickly, I call it Facebook for Ocean Acidification, but it's deeper than that. So we're going to add an update. This is what the kind of basic unit looks like for all the different kinds of information you can share here. Updates are searchable, which is really great, so you don't just lose information. We're going to type, I have a question about OA outreach. So topics are kind of like hashtags or keywords. They are, you know, this engine that later makes it easy to search for things, and you can use something predictive, like let's start typing outreach. So you'll see that these different options pop up. We can type, let's see, we'll type Gulf of Maine, something like that. You can also create a brand new topic tag. If you have like a webinar series that you're talking about, you can do the webinar series I'm talking about, and then that becomes a topic tag that someone can use. All right, so for this next part, this Teams thing, everyone is obviously, everyone. If you choose this, your update is going to live on the home page and then this updates page. You can also choose to share it in teams. And I will show you teams in just a second. Regions, you can choose to fill this out or not. I think people usually post it into teams or just use a topic tag. Then you're going to write your description. You might say, I have a question about something to do with OA. You can also choose to attach a document to this, and I will talk more about this in a second. Then you click save. I'm not going to click save because this is silly. And it would pop right up here at the top of the updates page. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry, I just needed a sip of water. Okay. So the idea of this, let's go to this one. Here's your update. Like I said, it's this way to give multiple different layers of information. You can put as much or as little as you want. Then once you have your update, people can respond to it with comments. And the great thing about comments and about updates too, but I'm going to show it here. This is just a little post that I have to welcome new members to the site. So let's say that Michael is a new member. I will say hi at Michael, and I can actually tag him, and then Michael will get an email saying that someone has mentioned his name. This is a really great tool if you know people who are on the site who might be interested in something, think they might have something to add or just want to see it. You can tag them into the conversation, and it's a great way to bring in others and help form those connections. So let's go and talk about teams. All right, so when you first join the site, this is kind of my demonstration fake profile. You'll only belong to one team, and that's the Newcomers Club. Everyone is added to that team when they first join the site. Teams are a space for more focused dialogue. You can join basically any team that you're interested in. You may notice we have a GOA-ON community team. We also have a GOA-ON OR's Decade program team that is brand new. I think it's a great place to continue conversations from here. And other groups that you've been working with. And we have job opportunities. We have the peer-to-peer network. You don't have to, oops, okay, so these are topic-based teams, and then we also have region-based teams. So you get the idea. There's 34 teams right now. You can join whatever team you're interested in. It doesn't have to be something that's in your professional lane. It could just be something you want to learn more about. So let's check out equipment and troubleshooting. Teams also work as mini libraries. So let's say you just have a question generally about equipment and troubleshooting. You're not really sure which topic tag to look up. You can come to this team and you can flip through and see if maybe there's an answer to the question that you have. You can also go to this little tab right here and see all the people that are members of this team. Maybe you're looking for someone who knows a lot about equipment and troubleshooting, and you want to see if there's someone here that you want to reach out to. Maybe you'll find some friends who were in here who you didn't know there were before, and you can start up a conversation that way. If people put their contact information in their profile, they're pretty much okay to be contacted. You can feel free to reach out to them. Don't be shy. It's a really great way to get to know other folks who have the same interest or who are experts in their field. So you can see everything on here. If you want to post content, then you join the team. So I should say, if you want to post an update, you have to join the team. You can comment on a post without being a team member. So you want to join equipment and troubleshooting, click join this team. It'll say your request to join is pending approval. I will go into my little admin dashboard and I will approve your request. There are some teams that are private. For example, CAN coordinators team is just for CAN coordinators. So you need prior approval to join a team like that. So teams are, like I said, these kind of breakout rooms within this auditorium of the general audience. And, you know, they're more focused space. I think it's really great if you want to get into the real details of a topic, but you can choose to post everyone as well. Remember, it's not just teams or the whole auditorium. It's teams and everyone, just teams, just everyone. So we're also going to talk about documents. So you can attach a document to an update regularly, just at the bottom. You can also just choose to upload any kind of document. It doesn't have to be a PDF. It can be data sets. It can be photos. It can be presentations, spreadsheets. You can also upload GIFs, which I think is pretty fun. It's basically whatever you could include in an email attachment, you can include as a document. And this tab can go through all the lists, see what's what. It's really helpful and important if you tag with these different topic tags. Again, it helps keep this information organized and searchable, which is really useful, of course. So let's take a look at this just so that we can dive into topic tags a little bit more. Let's go search for education and outreach again. So when you search for this, you'll get a list of all items that have been tagged with education and outreach. And it's everything from documents to updates to events. You also get a really cool list of topics that are related to that. So these are co-topic tags or additional keywords that have been used to tag a post. Finally, let's take a look at the events page. So, oh look, here we are. Events are, oh man, COVID has really messed with this. Events are a little bit light right now. A lot of things have been moved around. A lot of things have been canceled. So usually it's a little bit busier here, but events are a great way to both drum up some more participation for something that you're hosting, or to find some more information about stuff that you may not know about. It's a great calendar to help keep you organized. So let's just say that I want to attend this science seminar. Now, if you do that and then click on the description, you have the option to add this to your calendar, whatever that might be. I don't know about you, but I cannot function without a calendar alert. So I find that incredibly useful. You'll note that the top of this looks just like a regular update. And it is when you go to schedule an event. Oh, look, it's very similar to a regular update. The differences are you choose a date and time for this event. It can be all day. It can be just a portion of the day. And what's really neat is that you can choose to create a webinar for this event. And that webinar will be hosted directly through the OAIE Information Exchange platform. So you don't need a subscription to go to a meeting. You don't have to use your own, Zoom or whatever. You can just create this and then have people sign on right from the events page, and voila. I'm really glad that people have taken advantage of this during COVID. I think that it ended up being a useful tool because getting access to meeting software, especially this where you can host up to 150 people, was really great. So use it to schedule a virtual happy hour, meet and greet, Q&A session, or town hall. Use it. Just use it. It's there for your use. We want it to make people's lives easier. So, final thing, the people tab. This is the if it loads. This is kind of the Rolodex of everyone who's on the site. It is a really great way to obviously meet with other people. It's filtered by who's logged on most recently. This is me right here. But you can also choose to filter this in different ways. You can choose to do it alphabetically. You can choose to filter by who's interested in the topics that you've selected in your profile. I'll show you that in a second. And we're also adding a new feature that should be implemented soon. That will be that you can search for users based on their stakeholder group. So if you want to find someone who is a policy manager, you can sort through all of that and then, see if there's someone there who you're interested in reaching out to, either on the exchange or, shoot them an email. So I just want to point out one more thing about profiles. So like I said, this is kind of my, demo profile. You have the option to choose your stakeholder group, fill out as much as you want to. I definitely encourage you to include all this, do a personal bio. I think I did that one as like a random generator. Then here, once again, topic tags pop up again. You will get a very occasional email digest with things that have happened on the exchange, and that will be tailored based on what you choose. So again, let's do education and outreach. And then this tailors your, the information that pops to the top of your feed. So it's once again, another great way to stay on top of the stuff that really interests you, and make your life a little bit easier and targeted towards what really matters to you. There's an FAQ page. This has all the stuff, tutorials, our participation guidelines, flat page tutorials, videos, different ways that you can help spread the word. So that's always there if you have questions. And finally, my email is all over this place. If you have a question, you can always email me. It's literally my job. Please write me an email if you would like one. So that is going to be my site tour for now. I'm going to hop back over to PowerPoint. All right. So before we move on to our discussion, does anyone have any questions about what I just showed you? I realized that was a really quick tour. Really brief overview. There's a lot to explore, and all of these things are designed to help make it as easy as possible to create that community. So any questions?
And I'll just jump on for a moment and say that if any of the audience members has a question, you could either type those into the chat box, or you can raise your hand. There's a function to indicate that you've raised your hand, and then Carrier I can unmute you and you could ask your question verbally. Juliana, I have a minor question actually. Are topics case sensitive?
That's a great question. No, they are not. However, this is kind of a double-edged sword. If you misspell something, so in the very beginning of the site, we had 2 topic tags for ocean acidification. One started with the number 0, and one started with the letter O.
Oh no.
Both of those were equally used. So you can choose whatever's predicted. You don't have to upper lowercase the start of it. However, you can also accidentally create your own topic tag, but it's not a big deal. I can always go in and fix it. But no, for the most part, they are not case sensitive. They are spelling sensitive, though.
That's great. Thank you. So I'm not seeing any more questions at this time. I know it's early for people on the East Coast of the United States. It's maybe a little after lunch. So maybe people are in food comas in Europe or in Africa. Oh, actually, we see one question. Meg Chadsey. Meg, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and then you could ask your question verbally.
Oops.
Okay, so
can we hear
Meg,
Meg?
You should be unmuted at this point. Hi, Meg, are you there?
Hello? Okay,
Hi.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's great.
I'm sorry if you've had to listen to me babble. I did put the chat, so I'm wondering if that function is working now, but it's for me a great new feature. I am, yeah. So I'll start over.
Yes.
Hi, Julianna. I love every single presentation of yours I've ever been to. Okay.
Thank you. You're so nice.
I'm going to type, I've put the question. Oh, okay, you can hear me. Anyway, every time you give a presentation, I discover something new and wonderful about the OAIE. And today it was the co-topic tag list, which I have never seen before. And it popped up while you were demonstrating how to tag documents. But I'm wondering if that list can be viewed in any context on the site where users would want to tag something, because that is my biggest question when I'm posting is, what tag should I use? I don't want to create a redundant tag. You know, it autofills sometimes. It autofills as you're typing in tags, but I always have a sneaking suspicion that I'm not necessarily choosing the magic perfect tag, and that list solves that question. So is that something that you can call up in a separate box when you're choosing tags?
That is such a good idea, and such a good question as well. So right now, the easiest way to find that is by doing a search first for the topic tag that that you're thinking of using, and then seeing what's connected to it. Right now, you can't do it while you are writing an update. So unfortunately, you kind of have to think about what you want to tag it, then do the search, then go back and write your update. However, oh, you know what? I just thought of something. Let me share my screen again for Chrome. Give me a second. Come on. There we go. Okay. Hopefully you can see this now. What you can do is when you go to add an update, let's say that I'm going to do outreach and education again, because that's always what I do. Oh no, okay, it's not happening on this profile because it's so brand new. All right, sometimes when you add topic tags here, a list will pop up right underneath of tags that are commonly associated with what you've chosen. So, oh, I'm so bummed it doesn't work on this profile. But depending on what you choose, you'll get these predictive, education and outreach is often combined with communications, something like that. So that's the other option. But Meg, I really want to work on a way where you can be creating your update, wonder about topic tags, search for them, and not have to do the steps in that awkward search then write order. So thank you for that question. I'm going to make a note about that.
Thanks, Juliana. That's the other thing I love about you and the site is you have taken every question and suggestion ever and turned it into a new tool for the OAIE. Best coordinator ever.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So I'm just checking the chat box, and first, let me say, Meg, thank you for raising your hand and being brave and asking a question this morning. Other questions in the chat box are actually less so questions and more so just praise for Julianna. So a lot of people have very nice things to say about you, Julianna. I don't see any other questions at this time, either with a hand raise or in the questions box. So we have about 12 minutes left of the session. Maybe we want to move to some of the discussion questions that you've prompted for us.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'll turn on my camera so can.
I'll do the same.
All right. So I want to think about, like I said in the beginning, community with a capital C, and then also the OA Information Exchange as a community. And some of these questions are self-serving because I'm so interested in what people actually think about this and what they need, because a community is shaped by its members. We can decide what we think a community should be, but the members are the ones who are actually going to make it happen. So I'm going to put all of these questions up on the screen at once, and then if you have thoughts about them, then just do a number in the chat box and what you're thinking. So
Juliana, would you mind making your screen full screen?
Oh, is it not full screen?
Well, it's just not in presenter mode. We're seeing your notes underneath. That's perfect. Thank you. Oh,
is that working?
It reverted.
Oh.
It was right for just one moment.
That?
Perfect. That works.
Maybe?
Thank you.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Man, presenter view and GoToMeeting. It's very, very anxiety provoking. Anyway.
It's like showing up on stage in your underpants.
Oh my gosh, it really is. Thank God we have practice webinars. Anyway, these are my big, huge questions about community. And I think about these a lot as community manager. How has COVID impacted our collaborations? How's COVID impacted your view of community? What do you need to feel welcome in a community? When you think of some place where you really feel great to belong, why is that? And then what do you want to see on the OA Information Exchange? If you're not familiar with it, you might not know, but how do we make sure that everyone feels included, including you? So I realize that's a lot, but I would love to hear your thoughts.
Once again, feel free to type your questions into the questions box, or just use that raise hand function. One person, Su Tint Ong, just posted a comment. She said, "Hi, Juliana. Good evening from Myanmar. Thank you so much for the informative topics that you've shared. She's really excited to surf the OAIE. And if she's confused later, she'll definitely be reaching out to you. So we might have a 65th country very soon.
Yes.
On the on our list.
Awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, absolutely. I can't see the chat box for some reason.
So someone just posted into the chat box number 5, and she said more seaweed and kelp topics are some topics that she would like to see on the OAIE.
I'm making a note. Here's a question I have for you guys actually that I didn't put on here. Sometimes I work with team leaders who will write kind of like a prompt. One of the things we do is on Monday mornings, someone will say, here's what I'm working on this week. And for this example, it could be, I want to hear about what people are working on regarding seaweed and kelp. Do you think that kind of prompt or that kind of reminder of interaction is actually helpful?
I think that would be helpful. I think that could be a really useful feature. Something I've also been thinking about, something that we do internal to the OA program at NOAA is occasional journal clubs. And I think one of the features I like about the OAIE is that you could share documents. So it's a really great place to share recent publications and potentially opportunities for people to kind of lead journal clubs of their own papers.
Yeah, absolutely. I love journal clubs. I think they're really fun. and I just got a chat about prompts. Yes, if people are engaged. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's no fun to put something out there and then have crickets or be the only person in the discussion. So there's definitely, we want to make sure that there are people talking to one another, not just silence.
Another question that came through is it possible to direct message individual members of the OAIE?
Yeah, so this is a feature that we've been thinking about for a long time. Right now, no, there is no option. It's not really a workaround, but what you can do is tag someone. And the reason we don't have direct messaging right now is because we want the information that people are sharing to be widely shared. There's so many people who know so much. We have this collective brain trust, and we like, the knowledge that you share to be out there and something that people can find. But still, it's enough of a widely requested feature that we're still considering adding something like that function if it's possible. I actually don't know if it's possible with the platform, but the idea is out there.
So I use the OAIE pretty regularly, and I saw that a few weeks or months ago, there was a community survey. And I was wondering if there are any updates from that survey, any kind of sneak peek into the results that you might be able to share with the audience, or maybe one takeaway if you have looked at the data at all.
Yeah, what I thought was so interesting is I asked people what their motivations were for participating in the exchange, and a lot of people said that the reason they were on there and sharing content was because they wanted to help other people. And I don't know why that surprised me. I guess that it was just the depth of altruism was so delightful to see, that people had joined this forum because they wanted to be able to, share things specifically that would help others. Of course, people are on there to network or stay up to date, but so many people are there because they want to make sure that others have what they need. I thought that was really delightful. And once I finish kind of crunching all the data from that survey, I will definitely share on the exchange, at least, kind of the overarching themes.
That would be great.
I got a question. Could we ask what the barriers might be for people to participate in the OAIE more? One of the big things I hear is time. There's infinite ways to ingest information, and there's only so many hours of the day. I think that some people are leery of adding another platform to their kind of knowledge repertoire. I think on a really basic level, sometimes you don't have internet and you have other things that you need to do when you do have internet. But I tend to think that time is the biggest one. That's usually what I hear.
Absolutely. Yeah, it could be a challenge to toggle between your other social media sites and professional networking sites and reference management sites.
What I hope is that the barrier to participation isn't that you are worried that you will be thought less of, or you're intimidated to ask a question. That's the last thing that we want. So I want to make sure that we address that as much as possible. And there's a safety net there. There are not just myself, but lots of other people, as I just said, want to help. So hopefully that's not a barrier.
We just got a comment from Jan Newton, one of the co-chairs of GO-ON, who said that one of the barriers for her is forgetting your password. And I know for me, that's a barrier for all internet-based platforms, is forgetting passwords.
Yes, I can reset your password. I can actually just send the password that you already used without seeing it. So you can always drop me an email, or use the forget your password thing.
And thinking about barriers, we got one comment from Courtney Cochran at OAP who talked about how the OA Info Exchange actually, for her, served to kind of remediate some of the isolation. You know, it has removed barriers because the community isn't limited by geography anymore. You know, the community is based in this online platform. So it's a really great tool for building connections with community members during this time.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. And we have the peer-to-peer team now too. I hope that can help people, you know, break down geographical divides and find mentors, find mentees. I think that's, you know, one of the biggest things is that we can all be in the same space, even if we're not in the same country, city, building, whatever. So thank you, Courtney.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at the clock and it seems like we're just at the top of the hour. So that means that unfortunately we have to end this session. But I would like to take this time to thank Julianna Mullen for leading our first session of OA Week 2021, our first community discussion session. I think this went off really, really well. And before our audience leaves, I just want to say thank you for joining today. And please join us for the other sessions of OA Week. The next session is happening in 2 hours. That'll be the North American Hub session. You could register at the GO-ON website. If you haven't registered already, the registration links for all of our sessions are on that webpage. And if you have any questions, send an email to the GO-ON Secretariat or go ahead and post them on Twitter using the hashtag OA Week 2021. And you could @GO-ON, and that's GOA_ON. Thank you all very much for being here for our first session, and we'll see you in a few hours. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.